Welcome to Kermode Uncut. The Cannes Film Festival is still in full swing. Last week, just before it began, I did a blog about a fuss they're having in Cannes regarding Netflix movies that are going to be on streaming services rather than in cinemas. There are a couple of films in competition that are Netflix films, and there's been a big fuss about whether or not they ought to be in competition. And Cannes has now decided that from now on, if you're going to be in competition, you have to have a proper French theatrical release. And I asked you, how do you feel about this? Do you think there's a difference between movies that are released in cinemas or on streaming services? Loads and loads of responses. And this debate isn't going away anytime in the near future. So here are some of your answers to that question of streaming versus screening. This from Toodles. There are separate TV awards and film awards. The Netflix stuff should go in a TV film award category at a general TV awards, as it does not qualify for theatrical release categories. It needs to be made clear which awards are for proper theatrical releases, not token ones. This from Daisy on the same theme. I don't understand the difference between made for Netflix and regular old made for TV films, except for budget. The rules regarding Netflix films should be the same as those regarding regular made for TV films. If these films are not eligible for nomination at Cannes, then neither should Netflix films be. I honestly don't see a difference. And finally, this from Samandlia. Cannes should be about cinema. Cinema is cinema. Made-for-TV movies are just that and should stay on TV. However, not everyone feels the same way. This from Palmy John. I live in a rural town in New Zealand and my local cinema only ever screens the big movies. I'm a Netflix subscriber and cannot see the difference personally. A movie is a movie no matter where it's shown. The French might have good intentions but are denying the rise of streaming. It won't kill cinema just yet, just like VHS or DVD didn't kill it either. On a similar theme, this from the Doug Star. Personally, the cinema experience is not what it used to be. I'm afraid streaming is the way it's going. With such high quality TV and sound systems, it's really not a bad option. Rather than sitting in a cinema full of non-code compliant dwellers who actually have no interest in the film, apart from having a night out. He wasn't the only person to raise that. This from Phil White. My prediction is that inexpensive large TVs will eliminate cinemas within a few years. The cinema experience is so horrific for anyone older than 16 that no rational person will tolerate it, and the cinema chain owners have themselves to blame. Now, that question about whether or not watching things at home will actually knock out the need for television, it's an argument which is put forward quite a lot, but many of you still think there is something special, something sacred about the cinema experience, about the communal experience. This from Alonzo Mosley. Cinema is a communal experience. One of the many things that bothers me about streaming is it isolates us from one another. If you see a film in a cinema, it's a shared cultural and aesthetic experience. That, for the duration of the film, connects you to other people. That is good for social creatures such as human beings. Isolation isn't. And this from Captain Howdy. It's about that shared experience. I can't forget the cheers in 1975 when Chief Brody blew up the shark, or in 1977 when the Death Star was destroyed, or in 1978 when Superman caught Lois Lane and then caught the helicopter. I'm old now, but I remember a time when I wasn't. So it does seem that for many of you, the communal cinema experience is still a very big deal, as it is for me. Couple of end thoughts. This from TSH. I don't think it matters how a movie is shown. What matters is the quality and talent behind it. Steven Spielberg's Duel was originally a TV movie, but I bet many people consider it a movie. For Cannes to try to pretty much disqualify movies just based on how they're shown is unfair and not forward-thinking. This from Vincent Kane. There is a tendency to conflate the main competition at Cannes with the festival as a whole. Therefore, it should be emphasised that this is only about the inclusion of TV films in the competition programme. Beyond that section, the Cannes Festival is happily embracing the TV format. Look, for example, this year it's showing episodes of Twin Peaks and Jane Campion's Top of the Lake, which is a very good point. They're not just pushing all TV to the side. It is absolutely to do with the competition. Two final points. This from PixelBro64. I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix and Amazon start opening their own cinemas. I mean, we saw Amazon start, or at least plan to start, their own chain of physical bricks and mortar bookshops. So why wouldn't Amazon open their own physical bricks and mortar cinemas that show and prioritise their own films? And finally, from Good on Netflix, perhaps someday streaming services will own their own cinema chains where subscribers get in with a big discount. If Cannes attempts to exclude Amazon, Netflix, etc., they might find themselves on the wrong side of filmmaking history.